nonpartisan thing, the Washington Post also reached out to her for comment, and she said the exact same thing. She has nothing more to share. Now, Indiana law also requires someone like Dr. Bernard to report child rape to law enforcement, but we can't find any evidence that she did that there. In fact, Bernard has a history of not reporting abuse cases to the police, which we'll discuss later. So we're having no luck confirming this story. So how did the Indianapolis Star confirm the story? Well, the Washington Post says the reporting looks very suspect. Quote, "There is no indication that the newspaper made other attempts to confirm her account. The story's lead reporter, Shari Rudofsky, did not respond to a query asking whether additional sourcing was obtained." So the Indianapolis Star released one of the most viral stories of the summer, a story that's been seized on by the President of the United States, and now they're running and hiding. When Primetime pressed the Star and their executive editor, Bro Crift, they basically said this. They told us, quote, "The facts and sourcing about people crossing state lines into Indiana, including the 10-year-old girl for abortions, are clear. We have no additional comment at this time." The facts and sourcing aren't clear at all, which is odd, because the Star's publisher has a code of ethics which states this: "We'll explain to audiences our journalistic processes to promote transparency and engagement. We will use confidential sources as the sole basis for published information only as a last resort and under specific procedures that best serve the public's right to know." So the newspaper run by Bro is violating their own code of ethics by hiding under their desks and clamming up. The Indianapolis Star has actually been accused of inaccurate reporting before. Just last month, the paper caught flack after they falsely reported that 2 CEOs had signed a letter supporting abortion rights when the 2 executives did not, and they had to issue a correction. Our buddy Bro actually issued a correction for reporting that happened over 100 years ago. So it's not like Bro doesn't do corrections, he does. The newspaper, their editor, and their reporter have all gone dark. Is that the kind of behavior of people who stand by their reporting? And what about the abortion doctor, Caitlin Bernard? And what about the fact that there is not a single police report? Are you telling me no one's trying to arrest a child rapist in Ohio? Because I know Ohio, and they don't tolerate that there. So where do we stand? If there's a 10-year-old child abuser out there on the streets of Ohio, he needs to be brought to justice. And if so-called doctors are covering up child rape, they need to be prosecuted. But if this horrific story isn't accurate, and the abortion doctor and the Indianapolis Star are misleading us, and the mainstream media and the President of the United States seizing on another hoax, then this is absolutely shameful and fits a pretty dangerous pattern of politically timed disinformation. Megan Fox is an investigative journalist and joins me now. So, Megan, you've been looking into this story, as have we, as have the Washington Post. What jumps out to you here?
Well, the very first thing that jumped out to me was the idea that the 10-year-old was 6 weeks and exactly 3 days over the limit. When you look up the law in Ohio, Jesse, there's no 6-week limit. It's a heartbeat bill, and the law does not say anything about a certain number of weeks. There are also exceptions. So they could have called an Ohio legislator to talk to them about this law, to find out, what exactly it means. But the Indianapolis Star did not do that. And it also bothered me that they would not respond to my requests for comment as well. It also bothered me that Dr. Caitlin Bernard appears to be an abortion activist as well as an abortionist who never fails to talk to media when her abortion business is in danger of being restricted by legislators.
So you're saying that the law on the books in Ohio isn't even about 6 weeks, it's about a heartbeat?
Yeah, I couldn't find any law in Ohio that said there's a 6-week restriction. Correct me if I'm wrong, but every law I've looked into in Ohio is about a heartbeat. I haven't found anything with 6 weeks in it.
What else strikes you as suspicious? Is it the journalist herself that doesn't want to talk about this? I mean, this is you win prizes over reporting like this. This is a major story that the president talked about, the vice president. This was used politically. This kind of made everybody's heart break in the country when they heard about this. And now you don't want to talk about the biggest story your paper may have already ever published?
Yeah, that's a huge red flag. Look, I detailed 10 red flags about this story in a tweet, and then I reported it on pjmedia.com, and no one has responded. No one has called me to say, you're wrong. This story is corroborated. There is a police report. I have FOIAs out at several different government organizations in Ohio and Indiana looking for the report. Dr. Caitlin Bernard, like you said, is a mandated reporter. She has to report child rape. This is a horrific story being used to divide Americans, being used to outrage people, being used as a political weapon. And that was one of the main red flags to me, Jesse, was when they do that with a story, you know that they have another agenda.
Yeah. All right, Megan, thank you so much for your reporting. It was very, very important.
Thank you.
So how's Ohio investigating the claim that a 10-year-old girl was raped? Are we looking for the rapist on the loose? Let's turn to Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost. So, Dave, have you had anybody come to you in your state to say we're looking into this? A police report was filed?
Not a whisper. And we work closely with we have a decentralized law enforcement system in Ohio. But we have regular contact with prosecutors and local police and sheriffs. Not a whisper anywhere. Something maybe even more telling, Jesse, is my office runs the state crime lab. Any case like this, you're going to have a rape kit, you're going to have biological evidence, and you would be looking for DNA analysis, which we do most of the DNA analysis in Ohio. There is no case request for analysis that looks anything like this.
Yeah, and if it's a family member, then it's even an easier way to find the DNA right there. You just call the father, the uncle, the grandfather, anything, and you get the guy's DNA and you lock them up. It's also a crime to hide child rape. Isn't it against the law if you have a 10-year-old girl come in? Obviously, she's not of the age of consent. They have to report that to law enforcement, and if they don't, that abortion doctor or any doctor should be prosecuted in your state, correct?
That's correct. Now, the doctor in Indiana isn't in our jurisdiction, obviously. We don't know who the originating doctor in Ohio was, if they even exist. But the bottom line is it is a crime if you're a mandated reporter to fail to report. It's also the fact that in Ohio, the rape of a 10-year-old means life in prison. I know our prosecutors and cops in this state. There's not one of them that wouldn't be turning over every rock in their jurisdiction if they had the slightest hint that this had occurred there.
Yeah, they'd be licking their chops to lock up some sicko like that. Well, we hope this is a hoax, because that means the 10-year-old girl was not raped and impregnated by anybody.
Speaking of hoaxes, though, can I correct something that everybody's reporting wrong nationally?
Sure.
Ohio's heartbeat law has a medical emergency exception, broader than just the life of the mother. This young girl, if she exists and if this horrible thing actually happened to her, it breaks my heart to think about it, she did not have to leave Ohio to find treatment.
It's amazing. The more you learn about this, the more unbelievable it becomes. Dave, thank you so much for joining us, and keep us posted if you hear anything.
You bet.